Origin. And I want to give my review for this game. And like I said, this won't be too long today. I'll try to keep it short. I just want to cover a few topics though. And the very first topic that I want to mention and say is to thank you to everybody who has watched this series. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, watching this video, watching these videos, watching this series, watching my playthrough. I am so appreciative of that and so thankful for that. And I really, really do want to say thank you to everybody who has watched. I know that at times it can be frustrating watching me play. I am not the best, I'm not the best like tactical person, not the best like when it comes to guns and weapons. I don't know guns and weapons. It's not my expertise. I'm not into guns or that sort of thing. So when it comes to different types of, ammunition used in games and stuff like this, I don't know what they're called. I don't know what they do. I don't know what type of bullets they use. I don't know. I just kind of go in and use what seems fun to me, or just use what seems relevant to use in that scenario, in that section I'm in. And that's pretty much it. So I don't like, I don't know weapons and all that much. So I play these games for the fun of it. I play these games for the storyline and the experience. So sometimes I understand that I can be unknowledgeable about such things. So apologies for that. But I do play these games for the experience and for the fun and the storyline. So thank you for being patient with me and watching me as I do my playthrough. And to everybody who has left comments in the videos, thank you so much for leaving those comments. I have responded to some, and I will continue to read those. And yeah, I do read everyone. Even if I don't respond to all of them, I do read them. So thank you so much for all of that. I really, really appreciate it. This was a playthrough that I wanted to do since I finished F.E.A.R 1, the original F.E.A.R, last year in 2023. I did F.E.A.R, and that was for October, for Scary Month, what I'm calling F.E.A.R-tober. I do this as a kind of series that I want to keep doing on my channel every Halloween, every October. So next year you'll see F.E.A.R 3. And then after that, I will choose another series to do for Scary Month. But if you're watching this not in October, that's why I did this playthrough, because this is an older game. This came out, I believe, in 2009, so it is an older game, much older game, but that's why I'm playing it here in 2024. I'm doing it because it is a direct follow-up to F.E.A.R, the first F.E.A.R that I played last year. And then I'll do F.E.A.R 3 next year. So let's talk a little bit about that and what we know. F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin is produced by Monolith Productions, and that is the same company that did F.E.A.R 1, the first F.E.A.R. Now, after F.E.A.R came 2 follow-ups, 2 DLCs, and those were done by Vivendi Productions, or Vivendi, whoever they are, Vivendi, right? They helped Monolith with the first game, but then they kind of took over the second games. However, Monolith, there was some things between the title of the game being shifted between Vivendi and Monolith. Some stuff there happened. Monolith ended up getting the F.E.A.R name back, and then they made F.E.A.R 2, which is a direct sequel to F.E.A.R 1. However, the 2 DLCs are not connected to that. So in a way, that's called the Vivendi timeline if you played F.E.A.R 1 and then the 2 DLCs. Or if you play F.E.A.R 1 and then F.E.A.R 2, that's the Monolith timeline, basically the canon timeline as far as Monolith production goes. That's how that worked out. Now, I did play the 2 DLCs anyway. I played those because those were fun and those were very interesting, and they did continue a kind of side story to F.E.A.R, so that was fun to do. But now we have the actual sequel to F.E.A.R, which is F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin, and we see how it connects to F.E.A.R 1 from the end of F.E.A.R into now this one, and we learn more about Project Origin. In fact, F.E.A.R 2, we learn a lot about some of the other projects as well. We had a little tablet that told us what all the projects were and what they meant, like the Harbinger program here and some of the other ones they mentioned, Perseus. So we got to learn about that in this game, which does expand the lore and the storyline. So that was very good to see. What we basically learned from the story is, at the end of F.E.A.R, Alma was already dead in the vault when Harlan opened it, but that let her spirit out and caused havoc in the world. That was at the end of F.E.A.R. Then we come into this one where we are a new person. We're not the Point Man. The Point Man did survive. And remember, Paxton and the Point Man are basically offspring from Alma. Paxton died, and his spirit is angry, just like Alma's, but the Point Man survived. Now, in this one, we are a different person altogether. We are we are not the Point Man anymore. We're a different character. And we start off as a normal person. But then we end up getting changed by the Harbinger Project. And that Harbinger Project changes us and connects us with Alma because we are given those psychic abilities from Alma, basically. And we are forming this closer connection with Alma throughout the entire game. And that allows us to have the bullet time feature, because in the first one we had the bullet time because we were a child of Alma. But in this one, we were not. So how are we going to get that power? Well, it's because we were experimented on by the Harbinger Project and got that power. And that was useful to have that bullet time. Extremely useful. That really saved my butt a lot in this game. That ability was the point of the game, really. Without that ability, it would have been extremely hard and you would have died a lot. That ability helps a lot. We go through the game basically trying to find our team, right? Trying to reconnect with our team at every turn. But as we go through and progress, we learn about Project Origin, and what we're chasing is Aristide, Genevieve Aristide. We're after her, really, the entire game. We finally do meet up with her, or rather, she meets up with us at the end. She wants to control Alma. Of course, that's not possible. What happened to Genestede at the end? What happened to her? I need to rewatch that again. Did she get knocked back from Alma? Not like Alma knocked her back, but is she alive still, or did she die right then? I don't know. I need to go watch that back and see. We, of course, learn a whole lot as we go on. It's just a whole lot of combat scares and jump scares through the entire game until we come to the very end. Our job is to try to finally end Alma. But of course, that's never going to happen because her body may be dead, but her spirit and powers are not dead. They haunt us. They haunt the world. So we go into this mind escape kind of thing. We fight a person. Tell me who that was exactly. I'm thinking that was Paxton Fettel, but it didn't sound like Paxton and it didn't look like him. So who was that really? Who was that at the end? It would make sense if it was Paxton, because he kept saying, she's mine, she's mine. That's something Paxton would say, but then it didn't sound like Paxton, and of course it didn't look like Paxton. So I'm confused on who that was at the end. Do let me know, though. Anyway, we had to fight this ghost character off, who must have already been dead, obviously. We had to fight this person off and keep hitting these switches, and we had these different, 3 tries to do it basically and keep fighting him. I didn't have to use an epic weapon during all of that. I had my laser rifle, but I didn't have to use it on that. I guess that would have been a good time to use the laser, but it was really just shooting the ghost a few times until you hit each switch. That was pretty much it. You just had to survive during that. I did die once, so it is what it is, but basically you hit the switch. We think we've trapped Alma and killed her, but no, of course, we haven't. She survives at the end. Her spirit survives, obviously. And she is pregnant once again. But how does that happen? Because her body is gone. So it's her spirit, her ghost, that's pregnant. Right? Who is she pregnant with? She's going to give birth to another ghost? Another dead person thing? I mean, what? How does that work? I guess maybe that's F.E.A.R 3. And I look forward to playing that. Now, that's basically the story, right? Let me know if I missed anything in there and if there's extra lore I need to pick up on. But that's the basic story of it to this point, right? Alma is still not dead, and there will be another game. We know there's another game to continue that. As I mentioned at the start of this game, this came out in 2009, and I played F.E.A.R 1 when it came out, and I'm pretty sure that I played F.E.A.R 2. but I am going to be straight up honest with you. A lot of this game was not familiar to me, or I just didn't remember it. So it's very possible that I had played the game all the way through and just forgot everything. It's also very possible I never finished the game, or never did play it all the way through, or maybe I just played the demo. I don't actually remember. It was so long ago at this point, I don't remember at that time what I did. I probably had to use this game for a benchmark run for reviewing hardware, so I probably used this game for that, but then maybe that's why I'm kind of familiar with it. I was more familiar with the school, the elementary school area, but again, that was mentioned in the comments that that was the demo that was released for the game, so maybe that's why I'm familiar with it. I don't know. But pretty much it was a new experience for me all over again playing this game this time, so it was very good that I did that. It was almost a blind playthrough for me, pretty much. You can just call it that, because I just didn't remember any of it. So that's good then. It was a new experience for me, and so I enjoyed it because of that. So I'm very happy that I have replayed this game. Next, let's talk about the scares. I did not feel the scares were as good in this one as the first one. In the first one, you have an atmosphere about the game. There is a lot of combat in the first one, but there's a lot of empty space between the combat where it's real scary. The highlights between the shadows and the lighting is extreme in the first one, and it's not so much in this one. There's a few places where it is in this one, but it's better in the first one. The scares are better, and it's not just the jump scares I'm talking about, because there were jump scares in this one. It's the haunting feeling. It's the atmosphere. It's the environment of the game. It was better and more scary of haunting in the first game. This one was less of that and more jump scares and more combat. So that's what I'll say about the scare factor. It was lessened in this game compared to the first one. I also feel that the DLCs, which again are not by Monolith but by Vivendi, the DLCs were not as scary either. But this was more scary than the DLCs, I would say, but less scary than the first game. That's kind of my ranking on the scare factor of F.E.A.R 2. So it carried forth the theme of F.E.A.R, absolutely, but it lost some of that scare factor that I think Monolith could have focused a little bit more on in this game, and I wish they had. So they kind of, went down a notch, down a peg from that on this game. That's my thoughts on that. Now, as for the game mechanics, let's talk about that real quick. There were a couple of new game mechanics in this game that were not in the original F.E.A.R. For example, driving power armor, getting to use power armor. That's a new mechanic that the first game didn't have. That was fun. There were also some other minor mechanics. I noticed we had a HUD as well. We were looking through goggles the entire time and had a HUD. We didn't necessarily have that in the first game. Things were a little different in that area. The weapons, there were also different weapons in this game that were available. So they improved a notch from the first game in the game mechanics. However, it's a little bit of a downgrade compared to the DLCs from Vivendi. Those had some other mechanics that this game did not have. I cannot specifically remember what they were, but I do remember talking about that in the reviews of those videos, that the mechanics of those DLCs had evolved from F.E.A.R 1. And I think this is a regression in some of that in F.E.A.R 2. But again, different production team. This is Monolith, that was Vivendi. So this is an evolution for Monolith in the game mechanics, but a regression from Vivendi and what they had in the two DLCs. Considering this came after all of that, after the DLCs, that would have been a little bit of a regression. If you had played F.E.A.R 1 and then the DLCs and then F.E.A.R 2, this game would feel a little bit of like a regression from the DLCs, but it would be a progression from F.E.A.R 1. So that's the game mechanics. Now let's talk about the graphics. This was on the Jupiter EX game engine, which is the same game engine as F.E.A.R 1, and I think the DLCs as well. This is a progression from F.E.A.R 1. in terms of the visuals. I could tell that the textures had a much higher quality. There was a little bit more world clutter, not as much as maybe the DLCs had, or maybe not as much as some other games around 2009. The world clutter was up a little bit. The textures had better fidelity and quality, better resolution textures. The shadows looked fine. They were still hard shadows though, they weren't soft shadows. And I think they could have done soft shadows around this time, 2009, so that is something that could have been improved. Also, the what else? The physics looked fine. The physics were upgraded maybe a little bit. The character models looked a little bit better as well. So there was definitely a progression from F.E.A.R 1, but because this is still based on the same game engine, it did feel a little bit dated for other games that were around 2009. This could have been improved just a little bit more in the visual department. The polygon count was probably a little low in this game as well. So visually, yes, it's an upgrade from F.E.A.R 1, but a regression in the shadow scariness of it, and probably not on par with other games of 2009 in terms of graphics. Could have been upped there just a little bit. That's what I have to say about all of that. What else is there? Gosh, I think that's kind of like everything. I've talked about everything, yeah. At this point, I'm going to play F.E.A.R 2 Reborn. F.E.A.R 2 Reborn. I don't know what that one's about. I have to say I've probably never played F.E.A.R 2 Reborn, so it will be a new blind playthrough for me. I will know when I get into it if I recognize anything. But I don't think I ever played Reborn. So that's going to be new for me. That's going to be a new experience, and I'm actually looking forward to that. So I'm guessing it's going to continue from the end of F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin with a pregnant Alma. A reborn, does that mean she's giving birth to a new child? But I'm pretty sure that's what F.E.A.R 3 is about. I have played F.E.A.R 3, and I do remember F.E.A.R 3. I don't remember the story as well. I do remember certain areas of F.E.A.R 3. I remember F.E.A.R 3 more than I remember F.E.A.R 2 or anything, so, because that's a little more recent, so I do remember that one. But so I thought that's where Alma was giving birth to the child, so I don't know what Reborn is then. Yeah, I'm interested to play that now, but I'm going to play that. I'm going to continue to play that and make sure that's covered here, so look forward to that playthrough. I hope you stay and watch that playthrough as well. Oh, let's talk about the game length real quick. This was a short game to me. This did feel a little short. We can see that it was 10 videos for me, so I'm like 10 hours of gameplay. If I did the game real fast and skipped all the intel stuff and just played through it, I mean, it probably could have been done in like 6 hours or something, right? 7 hours, 8 hours. So it's a short game. Yeah, it's a short game. F.E.A.R 1 seemed longer to me. This one seems shorter. We'll see how Reborn is. I don't know how long Reborn is going to be, so that's interesting. Looking forward to that. Anyway, that's all I have to say about F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin. I may attach this as well as a separate video apart from the main gameplay, so if you're watching this as a separate review on this channel, I do hope you check out my F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin playthrough. I did have a blast playing the game. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of combat. Oh, that's what I want to talk about before I move on, the difficulty level. I started this game on the normal difficulty. I felt that was too easy. I like to play my games on the easy difficulty, but I feel like for this game, easy was like really, really, really easy. So I did up it, I think in the third video, I did up it to the normal difficulty. And from that point forward, I was playing on the normal difficulty. Definitely felt that normal was harder, but not impossible. I did die several times, even on that difficulty. But, you know, then when it restarts, you know what's coming, so you can head that off, so it was fine. Normal difficulty was where I was comfortable at playing this game, normal difficulty. Would I play it on the hard difficulty? Probably not. That would probably be too hard for me. That would probably be too hard. But normal is fine. Easy was too easy. Normal was fine. I'll probably keep it on that for Reborn as well when I do that. So yeah, I hope that you all stay tuned for Reborn and you check that playthrough out as well on my channel. I will look forward to your comments, everything that you have to say. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, what can I say? I hope that everybody has a very, very blessed day. Thank you so much for watching this with me, and stay tuned for the next one.